Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey everybody, I'm Naomi Ekperigan.
And I'm Andy Beckerman.
We're a real-life couple and a real-life couple of comedians. And we're the hosts of the podcast, Couples Therapy.
We're the only comedy relationship podcast ever. Yeah, I said it. And we're so good, we've been written up in both the New York Times and we made Grindr's list of top podcasts.
Yes, we're giving you that high-low appeal. Trust. On the show, we talk to guests like Bob the Drag Queen, Angelica Ross,
Bowen Yang, Janelle James, Danny Pudi, Darcy Carden, Paul F. Tompkins,
and more. All about love, mental health, and everything in between. And we answer your relationship questions. We are two unlicensed comedians just trying to help you out.
So open your hearts, loosen your butts, because we got a lot of laughs
and a lot of real talk just for you.
Download Couples Therapy wherever you get your podcasts.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
On today's Smart 7 Food Prices Fall, Marjorie Taylor Green wants a word with David Cameron and much more. It's Thursday 15th of February, it's World Hippo Day, and happy birthday Megan Thee Stallion.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
Thursday sees two by-elections taking place in Tory seats, Kingswood and Wellingborough. The focus, though, on Wednesday was once again on the by-election taking place on February 29th in the Labour seat of Rochdale. Labour candidate Ajar Ali has been suspended, along with a general election candidate Graham Jones, after both were reported to have made derogatory remarks about Israel at a meeting in Lancashire. The swift response by Starmer is intended to prevent any further charges of anti-Semitism against Labour, and Shadow Defence Secretary John Healey says Labour takes its pledge to act on anti-Semitism seriously.
This is not a party of people who are saints. When people do things that may be wrong, we have an independent investigations process, and when it concerns candidates or MPs, we expect, as the public does, the very highest standards.
Starmer faces another tricky week next week, as the SNP is looking to push for a vote on a ceasefire in Gaza. The last time the issue arose, several front bench members resigned. But is all of this chaos impacting Labour in the polls? Political research director at polling company Savanta, Chris Higgins, says there are some signs that it might be.
There is perhaps a sense that the Labour lead isn't quite as infallible as perhaps we once thought. I think over the last fortnight, we've definitely seen some more negative Labour headlines that haven't been married along with negative Conservative headlines. And I think that possibly might be having some impact.
For a country that effectively has no navy, Ukraine has inflicted extraordinary damage on the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. On Wednesday, they announced they'd sunk another Russian warship, this time a large amphibious landing ship called the Caesar Kunikov. It sank off the coast of Russian-occupied Crimea, making it the 25th vessel sunk or disabled by Ukraine so far. That's a third of the Russian Black Sea fleet. Andriy Yusov of the Ukrainian intelligence services confirmed the strike, which appears to have been another successful use of sea drones.
Of course, these steps will continue. Today's defeat and destruction of a large landing ship is another big blow to the capabilities of the aggressor. Certainly, the consequences of this will be felt for a long period.
Meanwhile, UK Foreign Secretary Lord David Cameron found himself at the centre of a US political row after he urged US lawmakers to pass the Senate's Ukraine bill. He warned them not to show the weakness displayed against Hitler. That didn't go down well with MAGA Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Green, who was happy to share her views with Sky News.
I really don't care what David Cameron has to say. I think that's rude name-calling, and I don't appreciate that type of language. And David Cameron needs to worry about his own country, and frankly, he can kiss my ass.
There was mixed news for households on Wednesday as the rate of inflation stayed steady at 4%. Some experts had expected the rise in energy prices to push inflation up once again, but the first fall in food prices in 2 years helped to keep things on an even keel. The bad news is that the Bank of England is unlikely to take action on interest rates, as Governor Andrew Bailey described the figures as encouraging, but that it leaves us pretty much where we were. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt says the government has more work to do to hit the target rate.
Inflation never falls in a straight line. And although it's welcome that it hasn't gone up, it is still double the target level. And we're not going to be able to relieve pressure on families until we hit that target and the Bank of England feels able to reduce interest rates.
The Republicans in the US Congress are celebrating finally winning their vote to impeach Homeland Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. They claim he's failed in his duties at the border despite their refusal to pass a border bill. Their celebrations were somewhat dampened, though, by the result of the special election in New York's 3rd District to fill the seat of disgraced Congressman George Santos. A Democrat, Tom Suozzi, won by a 12-point margin, which leaves the Republicans with an even slimmer majority in the House. Presidential hopeful Nikki Haley says the party just aren't getting the message about Donald Trump.
He lost in 2018, he lost in 2020, he lost in 2022. How many more times do we have to lose before we realize that he's actually the problem?
Still to come on today's Smart 7, Lewis's last hurrah and bad news for Gavin and Stacey fans. Right after this. Welcome back.
Wednesday night saw more games in the first leg of the last 16 of the Champions League. Lazio welcomed Bayern and won 1-0, while Real Sociedad travelled to face PSG, but came away with a 2-0 loss. Meanwhile, as the Formula One season gets closer to its start in Bahrain on March 2nd, 2 more teams unveiled their 2024 cars. McLaren launched the snappily named MCL38 at Silverstone, but all eyes were on the slightly awkward Mercedes launch. It's Lewis Hamilton's final year with the German team, and even he was getting a bit emotional as he spoke about his time in the hot seat.
Yeah, well, it's obviously been emotional. It's very surreal to be here, given I came here in 2013, so 11 years with the team, starting my 12th, and it is such a privilege to work with a group of people where you see a car come together at the beginning of the year. It's the most exciting part of the season, really.
Social media went into overdrive on Wednesday morning as rumours swirled about a Gavin and Stacey reunion. The much-loved show, co-created by James Corden and Ruth Jones, ran for 3 series way back in 2007. There was a Christmas special in 2019 which pulled in 18 million viewers, and with James Corden at a loose end, the story kind of made sense. But it's not true. That's according to Ruth Jones, who's currently starring in Sister Act in Dublin, where she spoke to RTE Radio, and she says it's not happening.
James and I, when he came back from America, we went for lunch in London, and we got papped. And then the next thing is, oh my God, they must be writing more Gavin and Stacey, which is lovely. Imagine if it was the opposite, and they were like, oh God, they're not bringing that back. All I can say is, if there was something to say on that front, James and I would happily announce it.
Everyone loves a fairy tale, right? A prince, a castle, maybe a dragon and a wicked queen. Well, Millie Bobby Brown is about to star in a modern twist on a fairy tale. That's a bit more of a scary tale, to be honest. She agrees to marry a handsome prince, but it turns out his family wanted to sacrifice her to keep a dragon happy. Anyway, Millie stars alongside Angela Bassett, Robin Wright and Ray Winston in Damsel, and it streams on Netflix from March 8th.
I have made a match. Your people need you.
I need you to listen to me now. I don't trust them. They may be royalty, but that doesn't make them good people.
Your hand, child.
Close your eyes. I've got you.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Have you ever Googled your own name? Prepare for a shock because your personal info, including addresses and phone numbers, is all out there. It's all harvested by data brokers and sold legally. Aura is a personal digital security service that scans the internet for your sensitive information and provides a full suite of privacy-enhancing tools. For a limited time, Aura is offering listeners a 14-day free trial at aura.com/safety. That's AURA.com/safety to learn more and activate the 14-day trial period.